Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. All right, you can't rewind Raw without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hi.
What's going on?
It's
On
going.
this fine Tuesday that Tuesdays actually are Mondays. I mean, Tuesdays feel like Mondays to me because it's my first day back, so it feels like Mondays right now. So we're getting by. All right, it's shit up here. Weather it is just awful. Sarah, I had to walk around the city today, and it's not even the fun snow where you walk around and feel like you're in a movie. It's the snow that you walk around in and your ankles are wet type of thing. It's not fun. And the place I had to walk to today, the people I had to see just weren't there. So it's basically just like an empty trip. And it's nice to come home, shower, getting a hot shower, getting my wrestling little gear here, and then watch Raw for the second time and talk about it with you. Honestly.
Well, I'm jealous because it's 68 degrees here. So
I'd kill for 68.
I hate it. It doesn't feel like January.
But is it a cool 68 or is it still hot?
Well, I mean, it's always like a little cooler, but it depends on who you are. Cause like if you were here, you would probably be like in shorts and a t-shirt, maybe. Like, but for me, it's like, oh, it is a little chilly, but it's not like, oh, it's winter. Like it's not like that to me. It's like Arizona winter, but I want real winter.
Yeah, you gotta come over to ye old New England.
Yeah, as long as they made it cheaper, then I could be there. But
it's pretty expensive.
it's getting expensive here too. So it's like I'm just screwed no matter where I go.
At least you're not living in the number 2 highest or highest rent in America. Number 2 behind New York.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's because of that I really don't mind living with my parents still. I'll proudly say
that's how it is for me too. I'm like, I could move out maybe and like had a roommate or something, but I'm like, I've been at home for my whole life basically. So it's like I want to be on my own. I want that freedom and I can't afford it right now. So at least like I can't afford to buy, like I don't want to rent. So
yeah, renting is just pissing money away.
Well, yeah, especially when you have animals and stuff, like it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. And that makes it a little bit more tricky. So
yeah, it does. There's a lot of rules and regulations about that stuff. Sucks. Living on your own sucks, is what I'm gathering. But you know what doesn't suck? Professional wrestling in 2024. Oh yeah. We're back.
Wrestling.
We're on the road to WrestleMania. We got 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble, which Sarah, I know I've mentioned the pool on here. Obviously, we did it last year. But I was thinking that we open up like 1 or 2 spots for a loyal peep who tunes in every week. Because I want my guys asked me, actually, my own college peeps who we started doing it with, asked me if I was still doing it. So I'm like, yeah, of course I am. So I think we'll do something with that, with them. And then we may open it up to 1 or 2 different spots for the peeps. What do you say? Get the peeps involved.
All right.
And then we might even, I'm thinking about going live during the Rumble matches at least. Or something. We'll think about it. There's a lot going on this year. We're gonna upgrade our shit because you got to be like a kangaroo, no moving backwards.
technically I'm off on Saturday, so that works for me.
That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's my last day of work, so I'll be
Yeah.
off at night, so I get to stay up late. Oh, I love staying up late. Oh, I could go on in tangents, but we have a show to talk about. All right, and oh, there goes Sarah's camera. David is in shorts now. It's 25. I'm in shorts. I'm in shorts right now. I'm in a basement in long sleeves, so like I'm not going outside though. But shorts are just comfy to hang out in. Jay, who we found his name is Jay, the SmackDown Hotel, says
Yep.
sup. I already said sup to David, and we got our usual peeps here. Who is going to win the men's and women's Royal Rumble? That's why we got a Thursday show, David.
Bailey for the women, but
It's easy Bailey for the women, and then
yeah,
my pick.
men's is going to be a conversation later in the show. So
It is.
yeah.
So stay tuned. But that's what we're gonna talk about. Sarah, lead us in there with what we're gonna
Oh.
talk about. There
Oh
you
yeah.
go.
Oh wait.
There you go. Let it
Ah,
out.
okay.
Let it out.
Okay. So Cody kicks off the show, which we knew was going to happen, and he doesn't really get a whole lot out other than what do you want to talk about, and then he just starts talking about Shinsuke beating Shinsuke Nakamura and how he wants to finish the story, blah blah blah. But one of my other guys interrupts him, which is fine because this segment was like my favorite of the show. I don't care. Drew McIntyre decided, hey,
Cool.
I'm going to come out and you said what do you want to talk about? Well, this is what I want to talk about. So Drew comes out and he immediately just starts going over his history with Cody Rhodes, which this is, I love that he's done this. I know that he did it with Punk and whatever, but I actually like that he did this with Cody because they did have similar paths, which is what he talks about. Says that when they first got into WWE, they were both kids. They came up at the same time. They were even tag team champions at one point, the Dashing Ones.
I forgot about that until he said it. That's crazy.
Yeah. And well, you weren't really watching when he was dashing, right? Like you
Off and
didn't get
on.
in. Yeah.
Off and on. Not
Um
really.
And he says that, they have followed a similar path. Like they kind of created the blueprint of leaving WWE, going off and creating themselves and becoming better versions of themselves and becoming so big that WWE basically begs them to come back. And he says, I don't know if you remember, but my last match before I returned to WWE was with you. And he says he knew that after that match that he was going to be a future world champion, which he's gone on to do twice. And he said that Cody will be there too, and he will be the first Rhodes in his family to do so. And did you see Cody tearing up?
I did a
you
little
notice?
bit. I did a little bit. It was a sweet moment. It was
I'm
nice.
just like, Cody, stop
He's
it.
so real. He's just so real.
I know that some people might think it's annoying, or even Cody is just like, oh, here I go again, like in press conferences or interviews and stuff. But like, to me, I like seeing that because other than like what you said, it's real. I think it just shows you how much this means to him still. And it's like, it just proves to you how much work he's put in to be in this spot. And it still doesn't feel like he's in the spot that he's in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I like to see that from somebody rather than someone who's like, oh yeah, I always knew I'd be here. I deserve to be here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's different.
It's so much different. And the best WWE superstars are the one or WWE superstar baby faces specifically are the ones who are so good at blurring the lines between reality and kayfabe when it comes to their emotions. And when you start to see reality blend in with the emotions of the character, that's when you have like a guy, a face of the company, and to show that he can be vulnerable and break down, shed a tear in moments that are not sad but deserve celebration and recognition. It's nice that we get to see that with Cody because there hasn't been a real opportunity that we could have seen it in his past.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think that as someone who's been a fan of his for so long, like nearly since the beginning, it's like, it's just, I've said it a million times. Like, it is kind of surreal in a way to see him be like the face of the company, because I always thought that he could be, and like he just was never given the proper opportunity to do so. So the fact that it's happening now, and knowing how much the fans that have been fans for a long time, how much it means to them, then
Mhm.
seeing how much it still means to him, like that's just a cool moment. And I feel like it just makes someone a little bit more likable, because
Mhm.
you can relate to that aspect. You know what I mean? So
Oh, very
I thought
relatable.
I thought that was cool. So Drew then says, but you're gonna get there eventually, but not before I finish my story, which I was like, "Ugh, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Because I love you both and I want you both to have your WrestleMania moments." Like I
I
even
know.
tweeted during the show. I was like, they both deserve to have their WrestleMania moments, and
Mhm.
I don't feel like both of them will. At least not this year. And that makes me sad.
It's odd.
It makes me so
It's
sad.
odd.
I'm
All
just
right,
sad.
you're just a sad girl.
I'm so sad. So, Cody says, "Okay, well, that could happen, like, I guess, if you win the Rumble, but you're not the only one who could win the Rumble. Maybe it's main event Jey Uso. Maybe it's CM Punk," which, of course, Drew is just like, "Oh my God, why would you even say those names?" And I was
Why
like,
are you
"Cody,
uttering that name?
why are you antagonizing the man? Okay."
That's
So
great. I love it.
then Drew goes in and is like, you need to stop, basically you need to stop being a corporate sellout, is what he's saying. Like, you come out here in your suits, you're acting like a politician, and you're always like doing that cheesy smile. Like, that's not who you are. Like, just be who you are. Cody says, well, this is actually not an act for me, because I love what I
Yeah.
do and I love doing it for them, and that's why I'm always smiling. And he says, there are a lot of similar things that we've gone through and to our path to where we are right now, but the difference is, when I was given my second chance in WWE, I didn't go around complaining like you. And he's like, I can give you something more to complain about if you want. And then he goes on to remind him, oh, by the way, our last match before you return to WWE, who won? And then he just drops the mic and leaves, and Drew is seething. And I'm like, okay. So last week,
We're building a horn. We're building a heel. We're building a heel right
we
now.
need to get there. Yeah, because we were just talking about this before
Yep.
we started recording. But last week, I think it was last week or the week before, whenever it was Punk and Drew, I was like, oh my God, Drew was doing such a phenomenal job right now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, incredible. And the thing is again, like we were just saying, we were just complimenting Cody about his realness and the genuine part of his character. Drew is absolutely thriving, and he's doing, I swear, this is the best work he's ever done in his career.
It's up there.
It probably rivals with his rise in TNA, which I think obviously is
Yeah,
the
when he was Drew Galloway,
right.
that was some of his best work. And
Yeah,
I
but I
mean,
think that this is probably his best work that he's done since his return to WWE.
mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know what to say. Like, he's so captivating, and it doesn't matter who he's talking to, because he was just in the ring with Cody Rhodes, hung in there with Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes, if not like I said, the banner says, stole the spotlight. Same thing with CM Punk. People don't agree with me. They were coming for me in the comments on that
No,
video
Drew
where
won that, but yeah, we talked about it. Go watch in the archives.
yeah,
I agree to
but
disagree. Yes.
Drew is just doing such a great job right now, and that's why I have such high hopes that he's going to have a proper moment at WrestleMania, because I feel like beyond, if someone deserves a moment or something, I think that when somebody is doing their best work, it deserves to be rewarded, and it doesn't necessarily need to come in the way of a championship. Like, you don't have to do it that way, but they deserve to have like a great match, a great feud, a great storyline, like, and a moment at the biggest stage of them all, which is WrestleMania. So I would really
Yeah.
like for that to happen for Drew, and the fact that he's potentially building up this feud with Cody, it's like, see, like, he needs to be up there with him.
He does. He needs to be up there in the main event conversation. Easily the best work he's done in so long, because he's real. He's
Mhm.
relatable. Everything he's saying, you have sympathy for him. Obviously empathy, but you do have sympathy because you put yourself in those shoes, and you would be fuming to the point where, like, I don't know how he's been so composed and whatnot. And it's like, Yeah, he doesn't know either. Like it's you're finally, you know, siding
Yeah.
with him, but because of everything he's saying is very truthful and, very air quotes selfish to a point from the outside
Mhm.
perspective. It's easy to hate a guy like that because of he's who he's going after. I mean, to take out
See, for
Sami
me, it's
Zayn
like
while saying this stuff. Well, I mean, Miss Heel over here.
well, yeah, because 'cause I'm like, for me, I relate more to the heels. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
"I hate everybody. I hate the world." Like, that's me. So, like, Drew is, like, male version of me right now, so I'm just, like, cheering on my male self. I'm just like,
I'll s
"Go. Go,
I
babe,
will stay
go."
here. I will remain your babyface champion, peeps, just to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll
that's
stay
why
babyface.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, like, in this type of situation, I'm torn because I love Cody and my fanship goes my fandom, I always say fanship, but fandom of Cody goes way far back, and Drew, I was not a fan of Drew in his first, run. Like, I didn't care for The Chosen One, I didn't
You didn't
care for
with the
3MB.
3 man band with the 3-man band!
No, no, I
I
was
love them. They were electric.
so I just wasn't into it, but, I'm just happy to see that Drew was in this position because it was a little bit concerning when they moved him
Mhm,
to Raw, because of how many people are on Raw. You were like,
mhm,
I don't know if this is going to go over well. And for a while, it wasn't working. But I think that they have him in a really good position right now. And I like this story. I like this character that they're trying to build with him. I mean, those concerns are still in the back of my head about like what are they ultimately going to do with him, especially now that the Rumble is less than 2 weeks away
mhm.
and there's no clear path for him to get to WrestleMania. But I'm trying to remain optimistic because I'm like, you
Same.
have to acknowledge the fact that this dude is doing like such good work right now. Like, he has to be involved in something in a big way. Otherwise, it's a
Agreed.
huge miss.
Agree with that. I have to get to this comment though, Sarah. We got
Okay.
$2 from the
What
main
up?
event. Bro, what's up? Dude, I loved your Fatal 4-Way video with TK. Very funny. I saw that. It was very funny. Good shit. Keep it up. We love the support and we support our peeps as well.
Thank you.
All right, so what do we got here? I'm trying to see if there's any other more comments. Can y'all see Drew challenge Priest for the case?
Okay. Possibly. Okay. I have
Let's talk.
so
Let's
much to
talk
say about
about
this,
it.
but I feel like,
Let's
okay.
talk about it
So
briefly.
okay.
But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, because I have it so we can talk about it later in the show. But
yes,
I don't hate this idea simply because even though I love Damian Priest, I love the Judgment Day, I hate how they've been booking
hate it.
Damian and like what was last night like the 12th time that he like teased a cash in. To
Yeah,
me, it's
he's
starting
just
to lose its
lose its
like
lore.
yeah, and I mean, you know, to one extent, you can argue, okay, well, he's doing this because, now it's like so unpredictable because even if he comes out, it doesn't mean he's going to cash in, but like maybe the next time he comes out, maybe it will. And it's like, but it's not just him that's deciding, like not deciding to cash in. There's
Oh
always someone
yeah,
else involved. And so to me, I
same.
feel it yeah, I almost wouldn't necessarily be mad about this as much as I love the fact that he won. It just is getting to that point where it almost feels like they don't want him to cash in.
Yeah, it's very like how they treated Austin Theories.
Mhm.
Like, and I get it because of how things are kind of playing out in the story, and they didn't screw themselves with the championship picture, but they really have their backs against the wall when it comes to options.
Yeah.
So, if you put the title on Priest, it's right at Mania. Now that guarantees Priest to have a Mania match. Well, you want to have Seth versus Punk, don't you? Well, there's stuff that came out or happened that may be preventing that. So there's a lot of different what if situations, and I think that plays a factor in all of it that they don't know what to do yet.
And they backed off so much from Damian versus Finn, like that tension and that rift. And I get it because they made them tag team champions, but they've backed off of it so much that it basically doesn't exist anymore. Like they don't even have them mentioning it. There's no sort of like animosity between them. Finn doesn't even say anything about it anymore.
More
So
beef, yeah. There's more beef between Rhea and Priest.
yeah, or even like some random beef between Finn and JD, which I'm like, I don't understand what's going on right now, Finn. You're the one who begged for him to be in here, and now you're like throwing him under the bus. I don't understand, but
or apparently not the guy.
Yeah,
whatever.
But I don't think that's a bad idea, and we've talked about that scenario, not necessarily it being Drew, but we've talked about maybe Damian being in a match where he has to let go of the briefcase.
To be
so
sick. I want him to cash in. I think
I know, but it seems like
pretty good world heavyweight champion.
It just feels like they don't want him to, or if he does, it's not going to be successful. So it's kind of, I don't know. All right. So since we were talking about Judgment Day, we get Dirty Dom and JD McDonough versus DIY. And this was a really good match, but of course it would be because look who's involved. I know I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like you don't even have to be a fan of the Judgment Day to be aware that they're really good. And you don't even have to be a fan of DIY to know that Gargano and Ciampa are really good. Come on. It's like
they know ball.
It was a long match. It was a really good match. It got "This is awesome" chants, which was great. DIY win with a meet in the middle. So of course I'm not thrilled. But when I was thinking about this, well, because it's like I love me some Ciampa, you know what I mean? Like I was thirsting over some Ciampa last night.
You want him to meet you in the middle.
Yeah. But my thing is, so I've expressed this before many times that I don't particularly love how Triple H seems to be against heels winning matches, especially ones that don't really mean a whole lot. But I feel like if this is just going to be the role that Dominic and JD play within Judgment Day, that they're just kind of the fall guys, like they're the ones who always lose, then I'm fine with that. If that were their role, the problem is that they do it with the entire group minus Rhea. So it's like, even though we know that they retained the tag team titles later in the show, they didn't look strong necessarily in that match. So it's like, if they were going to just decide, okay, well, if we're going to put these guys in a match, they're going to be the ones that lose, whatever. That's just what it is. Because sometimes that's just the role that guys have. That's fine. But then I need to see Finn and Damian win some matches a lot more, because you can't be having an entire group that claims to run the entire show of Raw. Like they keep
lose half the time.
What do you run exactly? Yeah, you run catering. Is that what you run? Like, what are we doing?
It's backwards thinking now that the babyface always needs to win on TV and then, build them up for a loss. The heels can get a win and they can go over looking strong. That's why they're heels. They should be strong. And, I don't think, to be honest, that Dom and JD should have won that match specifically. But I see your point, and there's other aspects during the show and, SmackDown even, like, that there just doesn't need to be a predictable win that the face needs to win or the heel needs to win, with help or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a different era now where the reason you do that is because you don't want fans to lose interest. So you got to make them look strong. But, like, they're not going to lose interest if they lose 2 weeks in a row. Like, if DIY was to go on a little bit of a skid, you're not going to lose fandom over them for 2 weeks.
Well, and how credible are your heels if all they do is lose? Like, how are they supposed to be feared if, like, oh, it's fine because they're always going to lose, And that's the thing with JD and Dominic specifically. Like, they're both really good in the ring. So it's not like they're going out there to be the joke, to lose and whatever. They're not a joke. They're not a comedic act. They're legitimate in the ring. So it's not that. But for some reason, They just end up being the guys that always lose, or if they win, it always has to do with outside interference or using a weapon or something. It's almost never like they were fine and they just won and people are mad about it. It's like, why are you scared of having people be mad? Like, that's the one aspect I think that, to a certain extent, we need to see Triple H adopt that mentality a bit more of like a Vince McMahon, where Vince didn't give a shit. Vince was like, I'm going to do what I think is best for business. We don't agree with it. And sometimes our anger is completely valid. But when it comes to Triple H, I'm like, Triple H, you had some of the most iconic heel runs in the company and people hated your guts.
Oh
And
my
why
god,
are you then afraid to do the same thing with other people now that you're running the company? Like, that's confusing to me.
yeah, it's very backwards thinking, honestly.
Well, it's also like, do you not want people to be as over as you? Do you not want people to rival you? Like, what is going on
Ooh, it's
here?
the John Elway effect.
Yeah, like he's just like, no one can be better than me.
No
You
one
know,
can be, yeah. I
I
have
don't
a, I
know.
have a day my John did sidebar after the show,
Okay.
but I have a theory about John Elway and why the Broncos can never find a quarterback.
Well,
But
he brought in Manning, but
because
that's
they
another.
need to win.
I know, but Peyton also sucked his last season. But that's another story.
That is
Imagine winning a Super Bowl the year that you got benched. Couldn't it be my quarterback? Couldn't it be my quarterback? Tom Brady never got benched because Tom Brady never sucked. So sorry to all you
already
Peyton
left us
Manning
and won a
lovers. But
Super
anyway,
Bowl. That's just,
that's
I
fine. He never
mean,
got
but no,
benched. He didn't
continue.
retire because he sucked ass. Okay.
I actually
Um,
got forced out. But yeah, no, continue.
So we move
What are you
on
doing?
to the women's tag team match. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. We first see footage of Chelsea and Piper demanding a rematch for the tag team titles. But instead, Adam Pearce is like, no, you guys are going to get this match instead. We also see a video package of Candice and Indy, which, again, this is another thing that I am loving that they're doing, and we've talked about it before. I like that we're not glossing over things like, Candice and Indy were talking about how they did all this stuff in NXT and then they got up to the main roster and it's not exactly gone how they wanted it to be. And like, they've not been able to make their mark. So like, they're hoping that they can change that. And it's like, it's that aspect of realness that I like that they're able to actually address and not pretend didn't happen, because
Mhm.
it would be foolish for them to act like they've been this huge name or that they're brand new right now. It's like, no, they've been on the roster for over a year.
Yeah.
So, um, and they have, for the most part, kind of been in the shadows, unfortunately. It's just they've kind of been one of those recent victims of being called up from NXT and then not really having a whole lot for them, much like what Gargano had earlier or late last year until they tagged him back up with Ciampa. So I did like that they addressed that, and it was a quick match. Candice and Indy get the win, but obviously it was just meant for more confusion between Chelsea and Piper. So I think that's what they're trying to do. Just maybe potentially have them break up. I don't know, but I'm
I think
intrigued.
Chelsea's ready for a singles run. I think she's ready to at this point. You don't need her in the tag division anymore.
I think it's just because I wouldn't be surprised if it lasts a little bit longer because of Rhea being the champion. And I feel
Mhm.
like they won't throw Chelsea to Rhea right now because no one would take her seriously,
Mhm.
like,
True.
because it's Rhea Ripley. She's been
Yeah.
champion for almost a year. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that lasts until Mania. And then I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say if Rhea will retain at Mania or not. I mean, it looks like they want her to be against Becky, which we'll get into. Um, but I mean, I can't predict what that match will be, but maybe after Mania they can get her involved in it or something. I'm not sure, but I would be
Yeah.
for it.
It definitely is an after Mania thing for her singles run because
Yeah.
you can't it's too close to the end. I think everyone in the wrestling community can agree that WrestleMania is the culmination of the year,
Mhm.
and then everything starts up the day after. So right now you have the Royal Rumble. Like think
Yeah.
of the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania like Advent season, like right around holiday season, like Thanksgiving happens. That's the Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
All right. And then you're hanging out, you're all ready after the Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber. Those are like your holiday parties or like Christmas parties that you go to with like more friends, not family. And then WrestleMania
Mhm.
weekend is the big shebang. Christmas, all that. Where you have to go, night 1, you got your mom's family. Night 2, you got your dad's family. All right. And then night 3, day after WrestleMania, then you finally have a time to yourself to reconsider and rethink everything and all that. So yeah, that's my little
Yeah, no, I agree.
reaction.
It's almost kinda like New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day too,
Thank
it's kinda
you.
like yeah,
That
yeah,
was this is why we're a great tag
yeah,
team. This bomb. There you go.
yeah, so
There.
that's what I would say. Oh, okay.
Don't leave me
Um,
hanging, Sarah.
I did it, but then you
Yeah,
kept
you
it
did
up.
it. I got it.
Um,
Smackdown.
so then we can get into comments after this. Because I
Yeah,
see there's a lot. So then we go
there's a
into
lot.
I of course have to mention the backstage segment between Damian Priest and R-Truth and eventually Judgment Day.
He's my hero.
But
He's my hero.
Damian confronts Truth in the back over his resiliency to remain in Judgment Day, despite the fact that they've told him a million times that he is not in the Judgment Day, which I'm just like, just embrace it. Just embrace it, okay?
Bro, he's selling
He ain't going
bootleg
anywhere. Okay?
t-shirts.
Yeah. And then he's selling bootleg t-shirts in the parking lot. So Damien is like, this is embarrassing. What are you doing? This needs to stop. And Truth is like, I'm just trying to help out. And he hands him a wad of cash. um,
That's all. It's
and
really
Damien's
helpful.
just like, what is this? And he's like, hey, that's your cut. And it's like literally like $100 bills. And I'm like, who's paying you $100 for a bootleg t-shirt that they could get at WWE shop for $30? What are we doing?
I mean, it
What
comes out to basically 100 with those fees, those shipping
I
fees.
That's true. So he said it's from all the t-shirts that he has sold. He said that he was trying to figure out what was going on with Tom and Nick Mysterio, but he can't seem to find Nick on Facebook.
Can't find Nick on Facebook.
And Damien's just like, oh, okay. And then he lets Truth know, we're facing you guys tonight. You are teaming with the Miz. Tells him, Truth, maybe don't tag in tonight. And it seemed like R-Truth kind of understood what he meant, but he also was like, oh, I get it. And like winking. It's like he didn't really understand it. So yeah.
I got you.
So later
Oh,
we
incredible.
see the rest of Judgment Day confront Damien over his, I don't know, enabling of R-Truth, I suppose. JD, Dom, and Finn especially seem to be bothered about Damien doing this. And Damien's just like, no, he's doing business for us. So that's why I think it's fine right now. And he takes out the cash and they're like, whoa, what is that? And he's like, yeah, this is what this is my cut. And JD then asks about his cut. And he is like, well, your name's not on the t-shirt.
His name's not on the shirt. I didn't realize that.
I
am
knew.
So not observant. Like, I think I'm pretty observant sometimes, and then that shit happens where I don't see his name on the t-shirt. And if they did it on purpose so they could have shit like this and like still have that, like, well, you're not like, oh my god, this is what makes the product watchable now and so entertaining.
Like R-Truth made it onto the shirt before JD.
That is so
they could have
funny.
When they remade the shirt to re-release the one to make it look like what Truth was doing with the duct tape, they could have put JD on there and they didn't. So
it's so
I still kind of want that shirt, but I don't know. I was like, I kind of wish that JD was on it. But this is just another example of what we were saying last
you love
week.
Your heels too much.
I just love my heels, but I like that they're continuing this. And then we saw that clip that I sent you. R-Truth is on Busted Open Radio recently, and they were asking him, like, what was the conversation like? How did you get involved in this? And he said, originally it was only meant to be like kind of a one-off thing. And then because it did so well the first time, they were like, okay, let's try it some more. But it wasn't meant to be this thing that's been long and drawn out. But he did reveal that Damian Priest is the main reason why it's still going, that he's been advocating for Truth. And he even said that he believes that he went to Triple H and some of the higher ups to be like, yeah, no, like keep Truth with us. So
it's too good. It's too good to get rid of it now, and especially heading into Mania season, you
Mhm.
like it's all setting up for my master plan of R-Truth being the host of WrestleMania. Like
Yeah.
it's you can have him all the way doing stuff with Judgment Day, and then like he's going to be involved in WrestleMania to some capacity in a bigger role than anyone would have expected, and it's because of his shit with that he's doing right now with Judgment Day.
And it could go either way. Like, he could host it and, like, do things to benefit them. He could
Yeah.
decide all of a
Like
sudden, like, "Oh, they're actually not my friends." Like, it could be interesting.
it
What?
could be WrestleMania 40 presented by Judgment Day, but it's like R-Truth's Judgment Day, like the Live Laugh Love type, and he's saying that he wants Judgment Day to sponsor it so they could get the word out about how good Judgment Day really is. Like
Maybe.
there is so much you can do there with R-Truth that has comedic value throughout the entirety of the show.
It's just
Like,
gonna depend on how they keep doing it because we are, I mean, little less than 3 months away from Mania, so we have to make sure that it doesn't get old by then, 'cause things
true.
change so rapidly in
So
wrestling, it
rapidly in
really
this
can be
climate.
week to week. So, as long as they continue to do this the right way, then I think it can last till Mania. Otherwise, like, if it doesn't, then it doesn't. At least we have these moments to be able to look back on and
Yeah,
enjoy.
actually.
Okay, do you wanna get to
Well, yeah,
comments?
there's a lot here, and some we've talked about, so I'm gonna bring them up, and others I
Okay.
kind of wanted to wait until.
Yeah.
Um, Dicky Martinez changed his avatar, I think.
I
Like
know, it
it.
confused me at first. I was like, "Who's that?"
I don't know if he is trying to do a Judgment Day thing or like a techno thing, but we vibe. I am too. I'm glad they got the win.
Yeah.
This is an instance where the baby faces need a win. Like
Mhm.
they needed to get the win here. Good to see them get the win because Candice, I almost said LeRae. Jeez. No, Candice LeRae. Yeah, Candice LeRae. I
Yeah.
almost said Michelle. Um,
Okay, I didn't
Candice
know.
LeRae is so underutilized and underrated that at some point we need to see her in a title picture
Mhm.
within the next year after Mania. We need to start getting that agenda going. Um, I'm trying to get why are Piper and Nia not in a feud? That's not yet.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm assuming they're gonna have plans with Piper and Chelsea maybe at some point, but also it's because they're trying to put Nia in the main event picture. So Piper's not there yet. And I feel like it's just too obvious,
It
the two
is.
bigger girls to go against each other. I mean, maybe it can
Yeah.
happen eventually, but
That's something I
technically they're
wanted to make sense. I
well,
just want
and
it to
they're
make
both
sense.
heels technically. So,
Which one makes sense?
yeah.
Truth almost broke Damien's character with the "I can't find Nick and Thomas" stereo on Facebook.
Mhm.
He broke me. What do you I was as
He
soon as he said that. Did you see they have a
Damien
new shirt?
what?
Three Amigos?
Oh, I don't know. Is it a
Oh
new one?
my
Oh,
god. Oh, Sarah.
it's a new
They
WWE shirt?
I'm 90% sure R-Truth like tweeted it out. And it's the
Oh, I
Three
don't.
Amigos and it's R-Truth and then versions of Dominic Mysterio before Judgment Day.
Oh, I don't know. Um, but yeah, he's been breaking Damien a lot. So,
Oh my god, it's
I
so
don't I mean,
good.
I like it because like I said, I don't know how Dom, JD, and Finn can just like be a part of these moments and just stand there stone face. Like I don't know how they do it. So
Oh
I
my
like
god.
that Damien does it because I don't know. It's like he's not supposed to, but it's like when you're watching SNL and they're breaking, it's almost
Oh
like
yeah.
it makes it funnier and you don't really care that they're not supposed to do it. So
I'm texting you the picture of this uh shirt so you can
okay.
react live because boy howdy, it is effing hysterical. I just it's so funny
Okay, is it
that
cool if
they're
I
making is it you could just look at yeah, you can look
No,
at
I'm
it.
saying is it cool if I move on?
Yeah, you can move on, yes.
Oh, okay. Uh, Daddy Goon
Hold
back
on.
was
I think
back,
this I
and I
think
was
with
very
this
excited. Okay, I
sorry, I
was.
think this needs a video too.
Daddy's back.
There
Can you
it
just like
is.
put Gunther's face on him though? You know? And he was, like,
Seen
still
that.
smiling. I was like, "Gunther." But anyway. So, first of
Sweater.
all, I love that they let Kaiser do his entrance again. I feel like it's been far too long since he's done that, so I was very excited. I was sad, of course, that Vinci wasn't there, but maybe he'll be back soon. I hope so. So Gunther has an iconic entrance. He posted a really cool backstage video of his entrance too, which I loved. So if you didn't see that, it's on his Instagram. And why aren't you following him? That's what I want. So he comes out there basically to just make fun of the entire locker room and every single guy that has been coming out over the last like 3 weeks that he's been gone, to say, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. No, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm going to main event Mania. No, I'm going to main event Mania. He's just making fun of them because he's just like, you guys are, whatever. And he's like, I can smell the desperation. And then he says, and then I can also smell the excrements because we are in Arkansas. And I was like,
Yes, we are, King. Yes, we are.
I was like, oh man, I love how that like got the biggest boo of the night. I was just like,
Don't trash anytime you trash the fans' hometown, you're
but
going to get booed out of the stadium. It's
it's
just
funny.
easy heat.
It's funny because when I think when I was at a show in Seattle, somebody made a joke about the Sonics, and like people were like boo, and I was like, he's right though. Like you guys didn't care enough about basketball, they took the team out. It's like I couldn't
Yeah,
cheer, I couldn't boo that person. I was like, he's not wrong. Like
he's right. That's how you're a true heel girl.
yeah,
You're
that's
just
what
like agreeing, like, right. He's
he's not
right.
wrong. So he did to say that he will be declaring for the Royal Rumble match and that he plans on doing an even better job than he did last year, which he entered at number 1 and was one of the final 2. Obviously, Cody got him out. But he said he's going to do even better this year. And last year he had sent a record for being in the match for the longest time ever. But then he moves on to Kaiser, which I was having flashbacks of when he chopped the shit out of Kaiser.
I was ready for him to be like, you disrespected Vinci's name.
Yeah.
Letting him get hurt.
I know. I was like waiting
for it.
to be like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And I'm like, oh. But he instead replayed clips from last week of Kaiser just obliterating Kofi Kingston on live television. And he lets him know, Ludwig, I'm so proud of you. This is the side that I have wanted to see from you for a very long time. You showed grit. You showed confidence, courage. Now he wants a hug. Gunther wanted a hug. And you could tell even Kaiser was kind of like, is this a setup? Like, am I going to hug you and you're going to choke me out? Like, what's going on?
It took Kaiser to gouge someone's eyes out for Gunther to be like, come here. Give me a hug. Come on.
Yeah.
Bring it in. Like,
it's like,
I'm so proud.
Thank you for being so violent and taking someone's head off.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then that's not even the violent part. Gouge eyes. He smashed his head against the stairs. Oh my
I know.
God.
So as we're seeing this beautiful moment, okay, Xavier Woods decides this is the time I'm going to return. I'm going to interrupt. And I'm just like, brother, why? So he comes out and he wants to air his grievances with Ludwig Kaiser because of what he did to his brother, Kofi Kingston, last week. And he's like, I'm so mad. Kofi's not here because of you. And I'm immediately sitting there and be like, and Gio's not here because of Kofi. Like, I understand there's a difference here. Kofi didn't do it on purpose. Yeah. But the whole reason why you're in this situation is because Ludwig was trying to seek revenge for his brother, Vinci, for what Kofi did. And now you're mad because he sought revenge against the guy who took out his brother. So you want to seek revenge for your brother. Whatever.
It's a lot of connecting thoughts. It's just like,
but I'm like, I don't really, I don't know. I was gonna be like, I don't really understand why Ludwig's the bad guy, but I mean that's taking it too far. I can understand why he's the bad guy.
That's some bias going on. I'm sorry, that's some bias right there.
I don't get why someone would be so mad at this guy for slamming someone else's head in the steel steps. I don't get it.
Yeah, Sarah, that's so rude.
Why would you be mad? Why would you be mad?
So rude of them.
So Woods decides, you know what? I want to match with you right now. And are you going to accept it or do you need to ask daddy? And of course,
that was a good line.
He's your daddy. He's your daddy. He's your daddy from the audience. And I was like, I wish he were mine. Okay. I'm going to be mad about it. So surprisingly, Gunther is like, Nope, and he hands Kaiser the microphone and lets him handle the situation and decide, which Kaiser is like, "Ha ha ha, you saw what I did to Kofi last week and you want to step to me, brother. Okay, let's do it." So we get Xavier Woods versus Ludwig Kaiser in a match. And I'm sorry, you guys, you don't have to be a fan of Imperium, but I'm here to be the fan of Imperium for you
Mhm.
because I don't know how many more matches we need to see from Kaiser. We're gonna focus on Kaiser because Vinci's not here. How many more matches from Kaiser do you need to see until you finally recognize that this man is like phenomenal? He is so good. He's so good. This was a great match. I love how
Mhm.
physical it was. Um, eventually it leads to DQ because Xavier wants to get extremely violent and decides to throw a chair, one of the commentary chairs, at Kaiser. Kaiser grabs a steel chair and drop kicks it into his face also. Um, and he sets him up for the steel steps, but Woods gets out of the way before he can reach him, and then Kaiser runs away into the crowd. So I didn't particularly love that ending because again, I don't like the fact that Kaiser looked strong and scary and whatever last week to the point of Gunther going in for a hug, and then he looks like a little chicken baby the next week where it's like,
He got steel steps potentially thrown at him.
no, I know I'm saying, but then he like runs away is what I'm saying. It's like, oh, okay, but
Yeah.
but it gets okay because in the back they're like, oh man, let's talk to Xavier
Oh,
Woods
yeah, 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 yeah.
because
Okay, okay, okay,
he
okay.
just left
Yeah,
this match. It ended in a
correct.
DQ. He was doing some things that are very uncharacteristic of him, of the throwing of the chairs and getting the steel chair. And as he's being interviewed, we see Kaiser just pop up out of nowhere, and he goes after Woods again, but it is broken up by the referees and superhero Jey Uso.
Yeet.
Jey Uso is becoming like the Creeds, where he just kind of like shows up.
But
Um,
that's
you
part of
know,
his story of the redemption is that he needs to be the guy who steps up and saves because he was doing all of the attacking, and this is how he shows that he actually has changed and became a different guy and stepping up. I love
all
it. I
right.
love that this is his new role. I'm for it.
I mean, it's whatever. But I was just happy about this moment with Imperium. I'm glad that, there's some sort of potential direction here. I'm loving what they're doing with Kaiser, especially since we
Mhm.
don't know how long Vinci will be out. So at least, they're not being like, okay, Vinci's out, so we can't have Kaiser on TV, because that was kind of what they did the last time
Yeah.
when Vinci was out for a bit. So I like that they're doing this. It's a little scary to me just because I'm like, Vinci comes back and then it's like Kaiser's like so far ahead of him. But
Mhm.
that's been my concern this entire time anyway. So it is what it is. Um, then we move on to Akira Tozawa versus Ivar. I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than the fact that Akira Tozawa won versus Ivar with a sunset flip powerbomb. I mean,
I mean, that's
I
how you
don't
do it.
that was shocking. Um that was I mean, I feel like that needed to happen because how many more
It
times
was
were
a
we
big
going to
win.
see Ivar just completely like maul this man on TV?
Yeah, you can't. He's got to get a win. He's got to get a
Yeah.
win. I love seeing
And
Maxine Dupree. That's my
oh yeah,
girl.
I liked her outfit last night, her
She did have a
gear.
really good outfit.
So, as they were celebrating Tozawa's win, Valhalla decides, you know what? No, you're not going to celebrate. Okay. So she comes out and she attacks both of them. And then Ivar hits the moonsault on Tozawa, which then we see a backstage moment between Alpha Academy and the Diamond Mine. And Ivy Nile decides, you know what? I want to go take on Valhalla because she needs to know what she did is not okay and she needs to pay for it. And Chad Gable says he is going to defend Alpha Academy's honor. And Master Gable will ask for a match with Ivar to teach him a lesson. So
I love
the
Master
dots are
Gable.
connected. Yeah, I mean,
The Master Gable's hilarious. It's so funny. So
yeah. So, it is what it is. It's fine. We get Ivar on TV, Alpha Academy for you.
yeah,
It's great, right?
I have no real analytical like thoughts about. I like this. it just exactly what you said. It gets them on TV. I'm okay with this story kind of lingering until Mania, with them connecting with the Creed brothers and whatnot, and have it pay off in like some fatal 4-way tag match. Like
Mm,
I see the vision. I'm okay with it because there's roles that need to be filled
yeah.
on the card and on the roster, and they have it. So I really don't have any like strong feelings one way or the other
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure to include it because of the other story that seems to be coming out of it, and because
Mm.
the viewers said that they want
They
us to
want
talk
us.
about like
They want us.
everything
They want our
as much as
thoughts.
possible anyway. Moving on to Becky Lynch. She makes her Becky Lynch
There you
makes
go.
her Mania hopes known to Rhea Ripley. So first, Mommy makes her entrance, and I was kind of bummed because she didn't do her like stomp
I
during her
think it's
entrance.
because of the stage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's because of the
Don't even
stage.
get me started about the stage. Oh my god.
I kind of
We can get into
want
that.
your. I think I
We
want your stage comments to end the show. I think that'd be a
Okay.
great social clip. That'll get the peeps talking.
Oh yeah, they're gonna come for me. But anyway, okay,
That's
so
fine. I got your honor, Sarah. The chimp's got your honor.
Rhea Ripley, she comes out and she just wants to talk about how she is tired of women like Nia just running their mouth each and every week. And all of the other women in the division need to stop as well. She says this is her division and it's proven that it is because she is the champion. And she says, whoever of you want to waste your Rumble win by challenging me at Mania, go ahead. But just remember that mommy is always on top. And I was like, Queen. And then my other queen comes out. Becky comes out, which is very exciting because everybody has been talking about how they want to see Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania. And it looks like they are trying to set that up fresh and early, which I am here for. Becky says that there are a lot of similarities between the two of them in the way that they have come up through WWE. They've had their differences, but they were both cast aside and doubted, and they had to work their way up to prove that they were the best in the business, and that is why they are where they are right now. Becky says that there is a little voice in the back of her head that tells her that Rhea is better than her, and that is why she wants to silence that voice by winning the Royal Rumble and facing her and beating her at WrestleMania. So that was just kind of it. There wasn't a whole lot more to it, but I did see people making a very good point about it. And that is, and it's something that we even talked about last year, that there wasn't a lot of buildup in the women's matches last year. And I would say probably more so with Charlotte and Rhea, that there just wasn't a lot of substance. There wasn't a lot of time put into making their match interesting other than like, oh, I faced you before. Like, but I was just
Mm,
little, it was like, okay. And of course they put on a banger match, arguably one of the best of the 2023.
mm,
So I like that they are at least teasing the idea of Becky versus Rhea to happen at Mania, and it's January. I like that I mean, this isn't the first time that they've teased it. Obviously, it's happened very sporadically over the last several months, but I
mm.
like that Becky came out and like my banner says, like she made her plans known and to
Good.
Rhea, and
Yeah.
it seems like this is what might actually happen because if you are on the train of believing that Bayley is going to win the Royal Rumble, then that means that this can happen fairly easily with Becky, and it doesn't have to be that she wins the Royal Rumble. So I'm
She doesn't
excited.
need to. She doesn't. She doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. There's no
No,
reason for Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble.
right.
And the only thing I would say about her getting to Mania is you need to make it that you need to make her win the chamber or some sort of like big match to get
Mm,
there. Like she goes through everyone to get to Rhea Ripley. And
mm.
I don't know if I saw a comment in here or on Twitter. I think it was in here. I just can't find it. I'll be scrolling up. I just can't find it. That oh shit, I lost it. No. You ever have a thought and you just lose it off the top of your head? Oh, shit, I just had it. Oh, that's annoying. Um, okay, move on. Move on to what your thoughts are because I can't
Oh, oh,
I
that's
can't
all I
think of
was
it.
gonna say. That's all I had to
I
say
I can't
was
think of it. I'll
Okay.
find it. We're gonna find it.
I was gonna be like, I have nothing else to say, so I can't keep going.
This is so annoying that I can't find it. I don't know. Oh,
should I just move on
no.
to the next
Yeah,
match?
move on.
Oh,
Move on. I can't find it. I'm upset. I'm sad.
okay. Okay,
Oh, there we
so
go.
then we see Awesome Truth
I
versus the Judgment Day. So Miz first comes out and is confused because R-Truth didn't join him. Judgment Day's music hits. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but they changed the graphics a little bit. You see R-Truth among the like demon like whatever, and it says live laugh
with
love.
his
And
smiling
then
face.
yes. And
Oh
then
my
also
god.
R-Truth is just lagging behind them, making his entrance with them. And I don't know if they didn't know, but they played it off really well, like they didn't know that he was there. Um, so the match, you know, they all get into the ring, whatever, and R-Truth immediately just drops a ton of cash onto the ring. So he has to like pick it up and it's like super awkward.
It
and
was so good.
I mean, this was a good match. It was entertaining. You see Damien try to remind Truth of like what he asked him to do earlier in the show, but it's not what happened. Truth is
He
wrestling
started
Judgment
the
Day, and
match.
yeah,
It
I
was
mean
incredible.
he's going after them. They're not taking it easy on him. We do see eventually that Priest hits the South of Heaven, which allows Finn to take advantage. He hits him with a lateral press and get the win. So I mean, I'm excited just to see where this goes because I love how Truth is just like, oh, like we were just playing around. Like it was just fun, you know, like he doesn't care when they like
Yeah,
do
I
things
get
to him.
it's my initiation.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how they try to spin this. But this is I'm so entertained by this. Like I don't even care. I don't care what
My
they do. It's so funny.
my favorite moment of this entire match came when the money drops and
Mhm.
he hands Dom his cut and gives him a big ol' hug. And then JD's like goes up on the apron and he's looking. And
He's like,
it's not what he said, it's
mm,
how he said it. I'm still laughing about it right now. When he looks and goes, "You have to be a member," and does the like little kid, like
yeah,
hands on the knees. You have to be a member.
yeah,
And it's little comedic stuff like that, the timing and like that make it so good that even the littlest stuff is over the top funny
yeah.
and just keeps it going even more. Like he could have said, like, it's just so funny, his delivery and everything. It's oh my god. I just need more of it. I
Did
need
you
more our
see
truth.
did you see the video that they posted afterwards? It's
Oh yeah, JD and Finn. I mean,
Dom and
Dom and
Finn
Finn.
counting the
Oh
money.
yeah.
Yeah, and they have like thousands of dollars because everything is in hundreds. Like people just showed up to Raw and all they had were hundreds. Like what?
In Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, it's like and they're paying for t-shirts that are $30. Yeah,
There's no change. You never need
it's just
change.
yeah. Um, so then we move on to Tiny Tony's efforts, you know, to put Jinder Mahal over. I'm
Try
being
to hinder the
sarcastic.
gender.
Yeah, he tried to hinder the gender,
Try to
but
hinder the gender.
he didn't because he put him over, if anything. And he made me a big fan of Jinder Mahal for the time, and you as well. We were really hoping that we were going to see a title change between Jinder and Seth. We were really wanting to see Jinder become World Heavyweight Champion. Unfortunately, that is not what happens. But the main event, first off, I think it was a mistake that they kind of threw in that random tag match or whatever with like Zoe and
That was
Shayna. That
weird. That was weird pacing.
it
Weird
was
pacing.
it was a mistake because it first of all took way too much time away from the main event because then the main event felt rushed and
Yeah.
not it wasn't long enough to feel like a legitimate title match.
Oh, agreed. It was
Yeah.
weird. It was like I there was no need for it. Like
Yeah.
why? Like no offense to the 4 women that competed, but like that did not need to be part of the show. I'm sorry. I get like the breakup where, all right, you
Yeah.
want everyone to get their bathroom breaks out, hit the concession stand for the last time, so that they're in their seats for the main event. No, like, no.
Yeah.
That main event should have
Yeah.
had a lot more time. That main event should have gone at least a
Mhm.
commercial break longer, and you could have done a lot more in that main event to help Jinder legitimize himself even more. I mean, they came out with the,
I know.
what are they called? Oh my god, Sword's gonna kill me that I
I
can't
know.
figure out
I
their
was gonna
names.
I haven't talked about the match yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, go.
I was gonna say they came out with Indus Sheer
Into sheer, thank
and,
you. Jesus.
yes. And, shout out to Jinder Mahal because Jinder Mahal, again, as we said last week, he has a banger entrance song. I just
Oh,
wanna
that is a banger of an entrance song.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I would say that the match was decent. I wouldn't say that it was great, and I wouldn't say it was horrific, but it wasn't that great. And I was kind of bummed about it. And it's possible because we're going to get into it. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Seth apparently got injured. Maybe that's why it wasn't as good as it could have been. Um, but other than that, the match felt kind of rushed. It didn't get really that interesting until the end, where they really had some really good um close calls, like
Oh my
so
god.
I legitimately thought he was about to lose when he got hit with the briefcase. I was like, "Oh
Oh,
my
it's
god,
over.
they're gonna
It's
do it."
over.
Um, so we do see Damien come out also again, seemingly trying to make it seem like he's going to cash in, but of course he doesn't. He just pulls up a
Of
chair and
course he's not.
watches. But then when he's like stands up and is thinking about maybe cashing in, he is met by Drew and then they get into a brawl. So other than being disappointed about Seth winning, because I do think he's gotten boring, and that's from someone who's like, Seth is probably one of my
A
favorite
Seth
wrestlers of
fan.
this era.
Big Seth
Yeah.
fan.
Um, that was disappointing, but I do feel like Damien being out there, which, didn't love it. Drew coming out and them fighting over this. It seems like they're definitely setting something up for the Elimination Chamber, which
Mhm.
because like we said, Seth seems to have been injured and being potentially seriously injured because they said one that he spoke to the ref like immediately as the match was over, two he needed help to the back, and three they are saying that he's going to probably be getting an MRI, so we won't really know the details of his injury until tomorrow or Thursday is what is being
Mhm.
reported at least. um Originally, I'm like, okay, Drew and Damien being out here, okay, even Jinder being involved.
There's a lot of
It
heads. There were a lot of heads out there in the main event.
Yeah, and so it seems like okay, that's the foundation for an elimination chamber match. But then it's like you get thrown in a wrench into it because if Seth is out for a lengthy amount of time, he's going to have to vacate the title because even if he doesn't miss Mania, you can't be keeping the World Heavyweight title on him for the next 2 months and then be like, "Well, he'll be back by Mania." It's
And then
like,
you have
but
2 champions that are not on your weekly
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. They
broadcasts.
can't do that.
You can't.
So then that throws everything that we've ever predicted about what could potentially happen from the Rumble and to Mania out of the window. So,
Stop.
but it almost is like, okay, and I don't mean this regarding Seth's injury at all. Hopefully it's not serious. And if it is serious, I hope that he heals up and everything is fine and he can be back soon. But
Mhm.
it's almost like a blessing in disguise, potentially, because as I said, Seth's reign has become very boring. So if this gets the title off of him, okay, there's a win right there. Okay, as far as taking the title off, not the circumstances in which it happens. Two, then that means that Punk doesn't have to win the Royal Rumble because nobody's the champion. So he doesn't have to win the Rumble because if they were only going to really have him win the Rumble so that he can main event with Seth Rollins, that's not the case anymore because if he has to miss Mania, then Punk doesn't need to win the Rumble. Um, the other thing is what's interesting when the theory that I was thinking was if he does have to vacate it, I think that they should keep it vacated for a bit until Elimination Chamber. So I think that whoever wins the Royal Rumble will be the one to pick the world heavyweight title, right? But they will face whoever like the 5 people are in the Elimination Chamber. And whoever wins the Elimination Chamber, maybe they can become the champion. Or
Mhm.
it could be like 2 number 1 contenders, like the person who wins the Elimination Chamber will face the person who won the Royal Rumble, and whoever wins at WrestleMania becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion.
Mhm.
Also, that can happen, and the person who is the other person in the match doesn't have to be the Royal Rumble winner. Maybe this is the way that they have Cody win the Rumble and he goes after Roman again. I don't love that scenario, but it definitely changes things if he's going to be out for some time, which I think is like, that's a significant factor to impact all of this, because I mean, generally you kind of already know who's going to win the Royal Rumble and how that story is going to play out between now and Mania. And so if Seth, who's the champion on Raw, is going to potentially miss the Royal Rumble, potentially miss WrestleMania, then everything is thrown out, because it's like, now you have to rethink everything.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious, other than the fact that, obviously you don't want someone injured. I'm very curious to see what the severity of the injury is and what that could mean for like how this is
Yeah.
going to play out.
I'm very curious on how serious the injury is before I let my mind, uh, start wandering to different paths on how we're gonna get to a WrestleMania main event, of some sorts. I mean, easy right now off the top of my head, if, Seth does miss, worst case scenario, I think Dickie says it right here. Best case scenario, Seth just misses the Rumble and still has a match by Chamber. Worst case, Seth vacates and the Rumble win is for the title. That was my thought.
I don't like the
Was
Rumble
that
win for the title.
I in any you know what? In any other year, I would disagree with you. This year, can't do it. Because say Cody wins.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's too many factors, because then, for the most part, you would assume whoever wins is going to be a Raw superstar, because they're going to want to keep them on Raw.
Exactly. So you kind of screw yourself there.
Yeah, so I think I like whoever, like, my whatever my theory was, and like I said, it's not perfect. I literally just thought about it, but I like the idea of whoever wins the Rumble does have a main event at Mania, but maybe it's for the title, and then they'll maybe like pick whoever the final other 4 or 5 people are in the match. Maybe they're the ones who are in the Elimination Chamber, or they have a tournament to decide who the 5-6 guys that are in the Elimination Chamber, they will all be vying to become the other contender for the title, kind of like what they were doing with originally when Seth won the World Heavyweight title. They again turned the two to face each other for the title at Mania. To me, that's the most interesting way that you can go about it, and the less predictable way, because I think, like, I don't think anyone would want to see Cody win, because it's not the title you want to see him win. People don't want to see CM Punk win the title that way,
I
by
don't
winning the
care.
Rumble and the title, and
No.
that's how he gets a main event. Like, that's so stupid. And
No, yeah.
uh
It actually it would sour his story too. It really
who
would. It wouldn't. CM Punk's, if that's how
oh
he got
yeah.
his,
Yeah.
it wouldn't. And as it's coming from a CM Punk fan, I would
Mhm.
hate that for him. It doesn't feel as authentic.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, for me with Cody, like, I don't want him to win the Rumble a second year in a row, because that seems like such an easy way for him to get a rematch with Roman. And like I said, the only way that I would be more okay with it, if I had to be, is if he was literally number 1 and was in the match until the end. That's the only way that I'd be like, okay, like, if this was the plan, then that's the easiest thing that they could think of, or the only way they wanted to get him to get back at Roman. That's fine. At least he didn't enter at 30, like, at least he had to overcome 29 other dudes, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be something that we'll have to pay attention to over the next couple of days. Maybe we'll know by the time we stream again on Thursday, so we can kind of talk about it
Yeah.
in further
Oh,
detail. But
that'll be definitely.
um yeah, there's a lot of scenarios that are going to be riding on whatever ends up coming about for Seth's injury. Okay, couple more things, just this and one other thing. So I did want to just make sure that we talked about CM Punk is officially a part-timer. didn't know if anyone was really expecting that, but he's officially a part-timer because he's being treated like Roman Reigns, where it's like CM Punk returns next week, and it's like, okay.
Hold on.
What?
Schedule for next.
What did I say? What did
Not
it say?
weeks.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so he is scheduled for next week's Raw. It is the go home Raw to the Royal Rumble, right? Is it next week's Raw is the go home? Okay.
It is.
So he had posted on Instagram during the show that it's about time that Cody asks him what he wants to talk about. And since Cody mentioned Punk's name as a potential name to win the Royal Rumble when he was speaking to Drew, I guess that means that that's what's going to happen. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not excited about CM Punk. I wasn't really ever excited about CM Punk, but again, I think my feelings will be more dictated by whatever news comes out about Seth's injury. I think if it says that Seth is going to have to vacate or he's going to have to miss like 6 months or whatever it's going to be, then maybe this whole CM Punk angle thing will be a little bit more interesting to me because then it doesn't feel definitive that he's going to be the Royal Rumble winner. But if Seth doesn't have to miss any time or it's not that bad, then I'm just like, I don't know that I really care what CM Punk has to say to Cody because I'm just like, I don't want you to win the Royal Rumble. So I don't care.
I just want to see CM Punk and Cody Rhodes in the same ring. That's really all it is at the end of the day. And you need to have your stars on the go home shows like we have preached here on the show. So I'm okay with whatever they do. Yeah, he is a part-timer. It's to me it's fine that CM Punk is a part-timer. That's about it really.
I'm fine with CM Punk being a part-timer given his age and like if they're really trying to injuries, but also if they're trying to make him more of an attraction or something, you know. If that's what they're trying to do, that's fine. But that's when I get into my issues of man doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. Man doesn't need to be the champion because if you're going to be a part-timer, we don't need another part-time champion. Like we don't need part-time champions at all right now. It doesn't matter. We don't need them. I don't care. Like after Roman Reigns, whenever he decides that he's going to lose a title, whenever that is going to be, we can't have any more part-time champions for like years because I think that we're getting to that point where it's exhausting. We already have 2 part-time champions because of Logan Paul as well. We don't need to add CM Punk to that because it's like I can be okay with Punk, like I said, being a part-timer, but being a part-timer also means that you need to be forfeiting your right to being in these positions that would require you or should require you to be full-time. So that's that.
Yeah.
And just because you wanted me to talk about it, I guess I'll talk about it. Everybody was freaking out last night because somebody at Raw was early when they got into the show. So they took pictures and posted it online that, oh my God, guys, Raw has a new stage. It's like the 4th time in the past year that people have been convinced that Raw had a new stage. Guys, the last time that I said that Raw didn't have a new stage or SmackDown didn't have a new stage or whatever, I said it on Twitter. People were coming for my head as if I just said something horrific or like killed their dog. I don't know what the problem was. So I didn't say anything. But the stage was not different, guys. It's not the new set. Was the stage different? Yeah. They were in a teeny tiny arena. They basically, essentially, had their house show set up, not only just because it was a teeny tiny arena, but also because of the snow. That Arkansas had a ton of snow. I'm sure you saw the opening shot.
Arkansas,
you couldn't even like see the arena basically because of how tall the snow was piled. So if you were somebody who was under the delusion that that was what the Raw stage is going to look like moving forward, I guarantee you that's not what it is. It was not even good. Like, I mean, I get it. That's fine for a house show.
Yeah.
But the stage being broken up by the metal pillars and like it was like messing up the fonts on the screen. It's like, no, that's not, they would never do that.
So what it reminded me of, obviously it reminded me of the old 90s Raw entrance, and I'm not talking Attitude Era, I'm talking like golden age wrestling, old Raw, like when the inception of Monday Night Raw and they only had the little tunnel basically. And the only promotions now that do that, AEW doesn't even do it. The only promotions now that do it are Indies and TNA. and
Mhm.
it's because they are well, Indies is different, but TNA is more comparable here. They're we are a street. We want our fans to watch. They are a
Yeah.
television type show. So they
Mhm.
don't care about filling it up to capacity. They just want something simple because they know their fans are gonna watch.
Well, it's kinda like an NXT. Like, the arena that they film NXT in is so small
Exactly.
that every seat is a good seat, so you don't need
Yes.
a screen to see because it's like no matter where you're at in the arena,
Exactly.
you can see the ring.
And it's
So,
part-time. It's the developmental.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
So they don't
it
need a
makes
big screen.
sense.
Uh,
I also wanted to say, Jay, Gunther is not a part-time champion. He was just gone for, like, 3 weeks because he had a baby. That's the only reason.
See, you
Otherwise
can't you can't come at Gunther on this show, or else
no,
the
Pretty
queen
Deadly
is
and
going to
Imperium.
slay you.
Pretty Deadly or Imperium, I'm coming for your throat, okay?
Yeah, all
It
I
ain't
can do is warn.
I
All
yeah.
all I can do is warn. Alright? Like, I have my own thoughts, I keep them to myself because I don't wanna be slayed, but that's like coming on this show and trying to insult The Rock, or I'm trying to think of another Kenny Omega. I kill. Kenny Omega is my
I
dog.
mean, I guess if anyone said anything, like, super negative about John Cena or something, I would probably come for you too, but
That's
it's
where
kinda
we'd have
like
to tag team it up though, Sarah, because it's
yeah.
John Cena, Rock, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles. Don't you dare come at the king, the phenomenal one.
So we're almost getting to a point where I'm gonna start coming for you if you go after my man Lexis King, because he is making a fan out of me.
Bro, Lexus King, I gotta give props to, honestly,
Dude,
because I didn't realize how much of an evolution he had coming over to WWE. The Varsity Blondes gimmick was like introductory level bad. I mean,
well
that was terrible, and what, look what Julia Hart's doing now that she
mhm,
left that. I mean,
mhm,
she's the most over other than Toni Storm, I would say she's the most over woman in AEW. You
yeah,
have Lexis King coming over NXT, which I don't care what anyone says, I think Lexis King is going to be a
huge.
main player. Yeah,
I
he's gonna be a dude.
I think that people also need to remember, like, I've only watched, I think, 15, 20 minutes of his interview with Chris Van Vliet, which came out today. It's an hour-long video, so I haven't even gotten into the nitty-gritty yet. He's only been wrestling for 6 years. 3 of those years was spent in AEW, where it was very developmental. AEW was in its infancy. It was during the pandemic that he
Yeah,
was
you
also
know
thrown
that.
into
Yeah.
AEW, which was weird even if you were in WWE. So he's not green, but he's not seasoned. So I get he's not perfect, but like I think that people assume because of his name that he's just going to be the second coming, which is also ironic because his dad died when he was 4. So it's not like his dad died when he was 20, so he got to like be around the
Yeah,
business and learn from him. But yeah,
a lot of
you know,
similarities.
I
There's a
told you,
lot.
oh yeah, they look almost identical.
Not even
Um,
looks, the mannerisms. He's
oh
not
yeah,
as crazy. He's not as, like, wild
he's
and
chill.
loose
He's more chill.
cannon, but
Yeah.
he's, like, chill, methodical, which is it's scary. That's a stealthy type of heel that he could be.
Yeah, so he captured my attention just because of who his dad was, and then his entrance, I told you I was obsessed. I watched it on
I mean, how could
repeat,
you
like,
not
over and
be
over,
when dude comes off
and
the sliding throne?
yeah, so then I was like, "You know what?" I saw that he was gonna be Chris Van Vliet's next interview, so I was like, "Let me watch this," and, like, so far, like I said, I've only watched 15, 20 minutes, but I already really like him. So,
He's very good.
um, yeah, and I will not call myself the nickname that people call themselves
No,
because
I hope you don't.
he
Sarah, I really hope you don't.
yeah, because he's also said that he doesn't like it. So I am not gonna do that. Um, I'm not gonna do that. So, um, I don't know if you want to get
I'm s
and
No, we're not saying it. I'm not
no, I'm not gonna
saying it
say.
on this show.
Oh, I
Go
like this intellectuals. That is cute. I like that. It's a lot better.
That's a peep. Dickie's a peep, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
he
he's
gets it.
he's always a good one. Yeah, you can't if you wanna know what we're referring to, just look it up. I can't even say it because I will just laugh my ass off of how ridiculous we've got to the point where we think that is an acceptable name to be calling
I
a fan
know.
base.
Richard
He
says
does get a
Lexus
lot of
King
hate.
gets too much hate. There is a reason he isn't developmental. He has potential. He just needs to get better. Exactly. And like I said, I've only watched like 15, 20 minutes of it so far. But he already said like making the move from AEW to WWE wasn't a difficult thing. First of all, he said that he felt, which I felt for him, because he said he lost his confidence. He had no confidence in AEW, and that was because he like wasn't being put on TV. They weren't like, he wasn't getting any feedback. Like there was just nothing there to help him grow. And so he said thank God for like agents and lawyers and stuff like that, because they were able to get him into WWE. And he said he's like so confident now. Like he's so happy to be where he's at. A lot of the things that he's been doing, like he never thought he would be doing. He was like, the fact that I come in on a throne, he's like, what? He's like, they gave me they let me name myself king. Like he's like, what? So I'm happy for him because he's happy, and I feel like, yeah, he's in the best possible situation that he can be, because AEW, even if you love the company, it's not a good place for developmental, really, unless I mean, maybe there's going to be some outliers, obviously, but if you are like brand spanking new, like I just got out of school, I'm going to go into wrestling, and AEW calls you, I don't know that I would do that. You need a place that has like a performance center like WWE, and you get to learn from people like HBK, like I think it's the best place for him to be, and I'm excited to see what his future is. And it's cool that WWE is going to have Pillman Jr. I think that's pretty cool. So
that's really cool. That is really cool that WWE finally got him. We have another legacy.
Yeah,
because as we know, Sara,
and could make him into a gigantic star. So
as we know, wrestling has more than one royal family.
That is true. That is true.
Thank you guys. Oh
yeah, I was just gonna say that was Raw.
That was Raw.
Comments, because there's so many.
I mean, David saying we need Lexus King versus AJ is gonna be amazing. I agree with that. If anyone comes for my boy AJ Styles, I'm throwing hands with him. I'm right there with you. Don't mess. Or Samoa Joe.
Jay says Imperium and The Rock are not equal. I understand. I'm not saying that they're equal, but and I'm not even saying in my eyes they're equal. I'm just saying I'm very passionate about defending my boys. And
you are
Imperium are some of my boys, so I will go to bat for them is all. Anyway, yeah, okay. So that is
that's really everything. That was Raw, and we thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Raw Rewind, presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show. We'll be back on Thursday for the, WTF, what the hell's going on in the wrestling world, where we give our favorites and least favorite things within wrestling. This week, we got AEW coming up in less than a half an hour. I'll be tuning in on my second TV with that one. We got Dynamite for my AEW peeps tomorrow. Yeah. TNA's back. Nick Nemeth. Like crazy stuff is happening.
He was also just in New Japan, so I'm like, he's doing it all.
Killed it, and he's going to GCW to take on Matt Cardona.
Yeah, he's just doing it all.
Oh, like that's saving my thoughts for Thursday, because there's a lot of thoughts about that. I'm very happy with how wrestling's going right now. 2024 is going to be a big year, not only for professional wrestling, but for you and I. And next we will be on Thursday. Follow us on all social media platforms in the link in the description below. Before you get to the link in the description, you got to pass that subscribe button, so hit that on your way there. Hit the bell notification too, so you know when we go live and post. We got some great videos from these live streams that Sara graciously cuts up, and the rest of the TWC can comment and do their thing, because boy, how do we know they love to give their 2 cents. So go check those out and defend our name in the comment section, and then follow us on all social media platforms in the description below. That's all I got. That's all we got for you. We'll see you guys on Thursday. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All I gotta do is try. See you on Thursday.